What is up, guys? This is the No BS Golf Show. That's right. It is a golf show, and we don't give a crap about the BS. Your boy Brad Thomas here with Chris Mills, and we had to let you know that the boys are coming. We are coming with a new show because we just want to talk about golf. We want to give out winners. We also want to be able to celebrate the times we have some smash success. I'm Brad Thomas, like I said, and my co-host Chris Mills. Dude, first and foremost, thank you for deciding to do this and join this new venture with me. Second, how are things going, man? What are you excited about the most for this upcoming golf season?
Thanks, buddy. No, I appreciate it. I'm excited for this. I don't know if there's that much content available in the space, but at least from the relationships that I've built and the following that we've had, I think people will benefit from this. I think that people are finally looking at golf as an alternative to all the other sports that people are betting on. There's just not that much information available to them. And I'm excited between you and I to talk every week and share our insights, obviously share our successes, and kind of just dive into every week and every tournament. Uh, I am a little bit bitter after last week. I'll be honest. Had a little bit on Taylor, but not what it could have been. I was at the Bucks game
Yep.
last night and or 2 nights ago, and I wasn't following like I normally do. And here's Nick Taylor, right down to he's completely out of it. He's on the 18th, and I'm pretty sure his odds jumped up to like 400 to 1, plus
Yeah.
40,000, right? Because you had Spawn that just finished 16, made a good par, Jagger bogeyed, and then next thing you know, Spawn's in the bunker, doesn't get up and down, and then Nick Taylor chips in for eagle. Are you kidding me? I had him for 30 to 1, plus 3,000, but I just know that there's somebody out there that hit that ticket or cashed it before the odds changed, and they're retired right now.
Yeah, they're stoked. All right. Well, let's get into the Sony Open. Sorry for your misfortune there. Nick Taylor won the Sony Open. Like you said, dude had a phenomenal ending to the tournament. I actually grabbed Nick Taylor kind of closer to the start of the round. I didn't think his odds were right.
Mm.
I grabbed him at 13 to 1. And I honestly didn't even I was so sick. Like I had the flu. I didn't give out any bets or anything in my channel. I literally laid in bed and I was like, "These odds don't make any sense." I took that, and then, sometimes you do these kind of bets that don't make sense to anyone but yourself. I
Yeah.
took a hedge, I figured this would be a hedge, of him to finish top 5 at plus 250, and I put 1.5 units on that so I could at least put I think I
Mhm.
did a half unit on, yeah, I put a half unit on him to win and a 1.25 units on him to finish top 5.
I
Dude
mean,
started around 2 strokes back, and
yeah,
in some spots, you can get him as high as 28 to 30 to 1 to start the round. Like, I thought that was really weird, with 2 guys who aren't, like, these all-time winners. Like, Steven Yeager wasn't a great course fit. JJ Spawn has his lone Valero Open Texas win, but I'm glad that you're able to get some scratch from that there. Fun fact, Nick Taylor, 3rd straight winning in a playoff.
yeah.
I saw something pretty funny, about Nick Taylor. He has more playoff wins than who was it? One of the NFL teams. It was kind of embarrassing. Probably the Cowboys, honestly, if we're being for real. But,
Yeah.
let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Sony Open, and I'll start with mine first. I'll go with the ugly. No, I'll go with the bad. The bad was, I'm down the same with you, Eric Cole. Eric Cole had so many opportunities right in front of him, and I'm not a huge Eric Cole bettor, right? I bet him 2 years ago at the Honda, and that might have been the worst experience I've ever
Yeah.
had because he should have won that golf tournament at such a
Yeah.
such a match of number. But it's not only that he just can't close, it's he can't capitalize, right? When you
Yeah.
play golf, there's holes that you have to capitalize. Par fives are those. So he's my bad. Go ahead with any of your good, bads, and ugly you want to talk about.
Oh man, I'll just pile on the coal. I mean,
Yeah.
the community had him. I had him for a bag, and you know what? It's more he has the potential. He hits fairways. His iron game is on point, but he just doesn't make it when he needs to make it. Right? The winners, they make them when they need to make them. Like if you looked
Yeah.
at even the second round, right? He goes out, he posts -6 first round. He gets out there, he's hitting the ball great. The guy three putted from 2.5 feet,
Yeah.
made double, proceeded to then miss from 3 feet, 5 feet, and then on the par 5 18th to finish his round to be tied going into the weekend, missed again from 2 feet 11 inches. I mean, that you may miss one of those in a tournament, and the guy missed four in one 18-hole stretch. And then yesterday decides to wake up on the back nine after making a terrible double on an easy hole, goes out of bounds, makes a double. Luckily, like you said, those boys as they at the top of the board let the pressure get to him a little bit, and then Nick Taylor capitalized. But yeah, you look at Eric Cole; he was undervalued last week because he really didn't have any form, and then you look at him this week, and he's at plus 5,000, which I'll never touch because I
No.
just don't know if he has the ability to close it because he also shattered my heart at the Honda 2 years ago as well.
Yeah, he's definitely not a closer. I think we've touched on Sony enough. Let's get to the American Express. Um, you know, first and foremost, I hate this tournament.
Mm,
I just three courses is a lot for me to balance. And for those who don't know, I basically just bet 90% off of my models. I'll
mm,
do 90% model and then 10% like either good vibes or I don't even know what you call it, but like I gotta bet this guy at this price, even though he's not a good course fit or a model fit.
yeah,
We're out there across the country on the other side of the country playing three different courses. For anybody who doesn't know, they're going to play the Pete Dye Stadium course. They're going to rotate between the three the Nicholas Tournament course and La Quinta Country Club on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's going to be a weekend cut, and then they're going to go back to the Pete Dye Stadium course. I believe they're just calling it the Pete Dye course now. For us veterans in the game, just to
yeah,
call it stadium course there. So when I did my modeling, I actually did my modeling only for the stadium course, but there's no shot link data, or at least not a lot of shot link data that's going to help any modelers, right? Even when I do intern rounds, intern betting, in tournament betting, I'm using data. The eye test for me, I think everyone plays good, right? They're professional golfers.
yeah,
So this is a tournament that I'm probably going to lean heavily on you, especially like even through text message. But I just want to give a quick rundown of the course they're going to be playing the most. That's the stadium course. Par 72, 36, 36, 7,200 yards. Poa overseed, I thought was important on the greens collars. Ryegrass fairways, Bermuda rough, typical, not super long rough. Greens here, 7,000 square feet on the bigger side, 8 holes with water in play, pretty wide fairways. One thing that we have to note about the stadium course, they renovated a few of the greens there. So I thought that's really important. As you know, you're down in Florida as well. You're a Floridian. You've played these golf courses with the new greens and how difficult it is to get these balls to lay at rest on these greens. I actually changed my model a little bit and added more around the green play because they're just going to be a little bit more firm, a little bit more fast. But that's kind of how the tournament lays out. I want to go just quick into golfers that I'm looking at because I want to put this in perspective. Like this is a pro am. There's a lot of commotion that's gonna be going on. A
yep,
lot of golfers can win this thing. I'm not gonna say that this is like a ball striker specific course. I'm not gonna say that this is a birdie maker specific course. But I will say you do need birdie makers who can get hot with the putter. Those are guys that I'm kind of looking at and guys who are just playing really well. Is there any golfers that, let's not go with golfers first, but maybe like a golfer profile, a golfer makeup, or anything about any of the courses you want to highlight that I might not have added?
yeah. I think you made a good point. In terms of greens, they'll be harder. It'll be harder to stop the ball. So the further you are back on your second shot, right, it's gonna be harder to hold those greens. So naturally, in this tournament, if we look over the last 4 to 5 years, it's gotten progressively easier and easier, and the scores have been lower and lower.
Yeah.
We look at back when John Rahm won -27 last year, -29. The 2 years prior to that, both matching -23s, right? Stadium course traditionally has been the harder of the three. And what we've seen is the guys who typically played the stadium course those 2 rounds the best ends up winning. The other two courses, I mean, it's going to be a birdie fest. You're
Yeah.
100% right in the sense that whoever has the best week putting traditionally will be right up there. But for me, I'm thinking if you can hit the ball off the tee well, if you're gaining strokes off the tee and you have a lot of wedges in your hand, you'll be able to hold those greens a little bit better. So the scrambling, while it's important, I'm just thinking fairways and greens and make some putts. And then it's just a matter of who you're going to pick on that Sunday, who's going to obviously hold their nerves but make more putts.
You made a really good point here, and it kind of correlates to the data, and I'll send this graphic over, so our producer Straight can add it to the feed here. So, it does a correlation for each tournament, each course on what the winners do well, at least over history, and this is again only on the Pete Dye course. There's been a lot of correlation. The more success is, like you said, the guys who are gaining a ton with their wedges, and guys who are great off the tee, like the ball striking and the wedge game is actually the highest correlation for winners at this tournament. And to your point, I think that's going to be even higher, right? Like you want to be in the fairway, you want to be 100 out, you want to have a wedge in your hand because if you're hitting like I don't even know if you go down a 7 iron, if you're hitting 7 iron in, like the more and more you get deeper in your bag, like the harder it is, the more likely you're not going to have these close approaches, and you're going to be putting. And in a putting contest, I guarantee you they'd much rather be with inside 10 than with inside 30. So that's a really good point you make there. Anything else you want to add about this before we get into who we like? I don't mind spending a little bit of time if there's any golfers, like any makeup of a golfer that you're kind of
Yeah, I
wanting
think
to predict.
and you know this, what I do really well within our community is live betting, right? Is trying
Yeah.
to find the value. So after every day, you scan the board, you evaluate. And with this tournament in particular, very similar to the Pebble Beach Pro Am, you have 3 days, right? There's a cut that comes on the third day versus the second day. So there's guys that can kind of start a little bit slower on round one, which traditionally they'd maybe not make the cut after the following day, but they have 2 days to make up for that. So I think it's important, and I want our listeners to understand this, that just because you pick a couple people pre-tournament, we know how hard it is to pick a
Oh yeah.
winner pre-tournament, right? You have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to look at that value. Like you said, there's some guys that we love that the model will hate, but
Yep.
you have that feeling, you look at the circumstances, you see who's on top of the board. If it's a bunch of guys that have never won, they've never proven themselves, a lot of the times you can dismiss those people, right? There's people that in this circumstance, they just don't make birdies. They're hard course type players, like a Denny McCarthy, right, who plays well at a Memorial.
Yep.
Doesn't really go crazy when it comes to a birdie fest, right? So when you go into a field, and this week, don't forget, it's 150 plus people. It's the biggest field of the year. There's a lot of people that right out of the gate, we can just take out completely. So when you're looking at the odds and you're looking at the value, you can find that a little bit more. You can be a little bit more aggressive on that for those bigger numbers, because I think we can honestly dismiss 40% of the field right off the bat.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. It's funny too because you say like golfers kind of aren't out of it after
Mhm.
round 1, they can play a little bit of catch up. What I think is an interesting strategy, is if you have anybody who's just playing okay on the stadium course and they get stadium course in their first round, right?
Right.
Because then they have 2 of the easier 2 courses to kind of get back into the tournament and
Yep.
kind of play themselves in. I thought last year was interesting. Um, you could still get Dunlap at, like, 10-1 in the final round. And I thought that was a insane price. I know he was chasing history, trying to tie,
Right.
Phil Mickelson as the second the amateur to win a golf tournament for PGA Tour, but I thought that live betting was an option here. But let's get into our outrights, and I'm gonna be very transparent. I'm not touching the favorites market this week, and what I consider a favorite, basically anybody like 30-1 or lower. That's
Yeah.
like a favorite to me. But if I had to, I'd probably go with Sam Burns. Sam Burns played this tournament last year, and if I remember correctly, he had to share the lead at one point, right? Going back to my notes, so I want to make sure I say that accurately. Yeah, he played very well. In round 2, he gained 6.8 strokes to the field, and then round 3 gained another 3.3, and then the tires fell off, at -1.7. What's intriguing about Sam Burns is this is one of those tournaments where you don't have to be playing good golf coming in, and
Mhm.
Sam Burns, last year, he had the baby coming to town, new father. Might have been
Yeah.
a year and a half ago, but you know what I mean. He's still a new father, and he's kinda had like a roller coaster of a year, but he came into American Express, and that kinda catapulted him to playing good golf again, played well at Pebble Beach, played well at Phoenix, then played alright at Genesis, and then obviously played well at Arm Hammer before Sunday happened. Um we look at the makeup of like what makes Sam Burns a good golfer at this golf course. The dude can get hot. The dude can go on runs. And when it when it comes to easy, I guess we'll call it easy golf courses, gaining an average of 0.6 strokes to the field, which is a pretty high number. That's per round, not per tournament. So over a 4 round basis, that's 2.4 strokes to the field that he's gaining at easy tournaments. This guy knows how to ball at the easy events. He's a really good putter. Putts better on Bermuda versus POA, but I mean, I think that statement's true of almost any golfer, especially golfers who are from the South. I thought he was a decent price, but not good enough for me to risk any money on it. So I ultimately passed on Sam Burns and passed on this. Tell me what you like about Davis Thompson.
Dude, Davis Thompson, he's very much like a Sam Burns. With all due respect, he obviously doesn't have the accolades that Burns does at this point. But this is a big boy. This is a big young kid who earned his stripes last year. He looked
Yeah.
really good last year. The Sony, sorry, the Century, he was kind of hit or miss. He's 2 good rounds, 2 bad rounds. Posted up, I think second round -9 and looked phenomenal. Great course history. I like him to be there this week. I think he hits the ball well off the tee. Another really great putter. He puts himself in a lot of those 15 to 18 feet, and he's well above tour average when it comes to making those. And again, a lot of these guys, they're going to make those short putts. Every once in a while, you're going to make the occasional bomb, but it's the Jordan Spieths of the world from back in the day. If you're making those from 15 to 22 feet more than the rest, you're going to work your way up that board. And I think he's got good vibes coming in. I think he's well rested, right? And I think that he has, with the good course history that he has, where he barely missed out off the pin on the 17th hole a couple years ago.
Yep.
I think he'll pull on that. So I really like him, and I think his price is fair. He's plus 4,000. So that's who I like there. And just to touch on your point, I think the guys that they have at the top of the odds, I think that they are a little bit low for my liking, and I'm similar to you. I don't think I'll touch any of those favorites. I think for favorites in general, because we have the ability to live bet, if I see one of them, start hot, look good, they feeling confident, maybe I'll fire live. But at the end of the day, if they start slow and their odds double, you can get them there on the value play. I just don't see much value in taking them pre-tournament because I don't anticipate any of them going crazy first round.
Yeah. So listen, I was on John Rahm when he won this tournament, and it felt like John Rahm was the best favorite in the field,
Yeah,
right? But then when you look at the favorites for this week, you're just like, I mean, no disrespect, but they're not a ton of win equity guys, right? Justin Thomas, yeah, ton of win equity, and we're talking about long-term success, but the Justin Thomas of 3 and 4 years ago is not the
yeah,
same Justin Thomas that's teeing up now.
no,
Also, this is a putting contest, man. Yeah, I believe he finished T3 or runner up last year, but like for him, it takes Herculean efforts
yeah,
with his putters to kind of make those rounds pop. Sungjae, not an all-time winner. Burns has his flaws. Cantlay had his worst year last season of his career. Finau, sure. Wyndham Clark, maybe, but now we're starting to get in the 30s and we're start talking about a different number here.
yeah. No, I agree completely.
So let's get into the mid range, and I'll let you kick this one off first.
Yeah, mid-range for me, I mean, I think it's we've already talked about this once. And for people who are new to golf, I think that the free, we look at our models and we look at what we're looking at going into a new tournament. It's, we got horses for courses. So you have guys that who, regardless of how they're playing, they go to a course that they're familiar with, they show up and they just feel better. They're hitting better, they're hitting off the tee better, their wedges are on, their putting is on. It's like anything, right? When you have that confidence in anything, you're going to do a little bit better. Course history is really, really important in that respect. Obviously, form going into a tournament. So if you've played well the previous week, that tends to roll over because, again, they just finished Sunday. They roll back in. They're at the course. They're practicing. They're teeing it up again Thursday. So that type of momentum is really, really important as well. But what I looked at was birdies per round. So if we look at 2024, obviously Scotty Scheffler is number one. But what actually surprised me was Harry Hall was number two on that list. And you know what? Harry Hall over the first 2 weeks, looks really, really good.
Yep.
You know, he's a long ball hitter. He wears that old man hat. And you know what? I'm digging it. I'm digging him. I like it because it's a birdie fest. I think that he's playing with house money. No one really expects him to do well. And what I also see from a live betting perspective is when he gets hot, his odds drop fast. The
Yeah.
guy gets some respect, and you can get him right now at plus 5,000, plus 4,000, depending on your book. I would love him at that number. I love him to show up. I love him to make a ton of birdies, and I fully expect him to be there on Sunday.
I actually bet Harry Hall.
Did you?
When the Xander news came out, he was the only golfer I put a bet in because I was like, he's going to go down by at least $5, and I
Yeah,
was like, I'm going to take a stab at this. Luckily, you could still get him at plus 4,000. I got him at like I think it was plus 5,000. Still a very great bet, especially a guy who can fill it up. And like I said, you want guys who get hot with the putter. This
yeah,
dude can get scorching with this putter. My favorite mid range is Nico Echeverria, and
yeah,
man, you know I kind of liked him already. I kind of already liked him already because of the way he plays golf. But then when I look at the two metrics that I weighted, they ain't the heaviest, but they're really important in finding value out of guys. Birdies are better gained and opportunities gained. So basically, they could be correlated, right? Like if you have a lot of opportunities, you're probably going to gain more birdies or better. So that's fine. But that's not always the case, right? Like you have guys. Let's give you an example. Wyndham Clark, very high opportunity rate. I think he's third in the PGA Tour, but doesn't capitalize a lot on his birdies.
yeah,
48, right? Echeverria, first in opportunities gained, fourth in birdies or better gained. He's making those. Why? Because he's putting well. Fifth in strokes gained putting over his last 24 rounds. Dude just won the Zozo, just was in a playoff last week, coming with a ton of confidence, and it's 60-1, right?
yeah,
And you know what's funny? We talk about what kind of golfers are going to win this golf tournament. Well, if you look at it, you look at this is just stats over the last 12 months, right? And these stats we're going to that I've talked about are going to I'm going to keep bringing them up. They're basically going to be 12-month samples. So don't think about current calendar year. Don't think about season. It's a 12-month rolling calendar there. And Echeverria stinks at hard courses. He is the man at easy courses, gaining almost a half a stroke per round at easy courses, where he's losing to the field, almost losing an entire half stroke on difficult courses to the field. This is the kind of course that he wants to play. He wants to play these easy courses. He wants to go make birdies. He doesn't want life to be difficult to him. I think he likes being out in the sun too.
yeah.
Him being, I think he's a South American, right? So I thought at 60-1, that was a pretty compelling price.
No, I love that. Honestly, I think that the odd makers there, he just doesn't have the respect. I
Yeah,
mean, granted, it's not like we're going to play the Open and I'm betting on Nico, but in a situation like this where the weather should be decent, it's the desert, it's hot, why not, right? But I also think, what do we look at? We look at form, we look at birdies, we look at history. He has a history of playing really well at easy courses. The guy's a birdie man. And
yeah, he is.
did you track or watch his finish? I know
Yeah,
we touched on the Sony, but the guy was scrambling like a machine, making
dude.
everything. I thought at one point, oh, here comes a double, and the guy like chips in or hits it off the fringe, and from 22 feet makes par, gets up and down on 18. I mean, if not for that crazy heroics from Taylor, I mean, he gets his second win, and
Yeah.
then he drops this week. He's plus 3,500. I love that pick. If you can get him a little bit higher, obviously I would, but anything plus 6,000 or more, that's a great pick.
I think he opened like close to 100-1. Then he got a little shortened with the the Shoffley news, and then I think he might have got a little steam. He's a steam guy. There's another guy who was a steam guy, and that's Carson Young.
Mm,
Listen, I was probably an idiot. I probably should have never given this out on TV before the show, but it was Carson Young. I gave him out because I thought it was a great price. My apologies. He's no longer 275-1. He's now down to 200-1. I just really thought that price was insane. I still like him at 200-1, but he's another guy who he's more like the Wyndham Clark in terms of gets a ton of opportunities, but doesn't capitalize on them. He's
yeah,
top 5 in opportunities gained, but he's only like 24th in birdies or better gain. But the difference between him and Echeverria is Carson Young's going to always be in the fairway.
yeah,
Fairways and greens. Fairways and greens. That's Carson Young. And now it's up to him if he can capitalize and make putts, right? Turn those fairways into greens into winning. How I always view these guys in long shot range, especially like a Carson Young, is I just want him close to the final pairing come Sunday.
Yep.
That gives me more ammo to live bet and extract some kind of value out of the tournament.
Yep.
I mean, I've only hit like probably 4 guys higher than 101, and the last one was at the Open with Harmon. Like, it doesn't happen often for me. But
Yeah.
when I get him there, I'm trying to make sure I have live bets because I know this guy is going to be one of the top 2 groups. If I get him on that second name on the leaderboard come that final round Sunday, we got some ammo. I like Carson Young. I think he's at least going to be floating around there. Had some success in this tournament too. He's also kind of like the hype guy, right? Like the big bushy mustache, playing in the pro am.
Yeah.
He feeds on this kind of stuff, right? This is a narrative driven bet as much as it is a
Yeah.
statistical bet. Any thoughts on Young?
Carson Young is interesting. He has probably 3 or 4 good tournaments a year.
Yeah,
You just gotta pick him on the right week, right? He's the type of guy where he's always gonna be fighting around that top 75, top 100, top, 115. He's got game. And like
yeah,
you said, he finds fairways. He's a pretty good putter. And he's got that stash that just hopefully rides you into the sunset. But I think it's a good value. But I also think that, we need to make this clear. Like when you're looking at odds that are plus, 250 to 1 or higher, your
yeah,
expectation can't be, wow, this guy is going to be winning from day 1 all the way through day 4.
yep,
Odds of that happening are, that's the reason they are those odds. But I like to explain golf betting very similar to managing a investment fund, managing a portfolio of investments. What you'd like to do between day 1 and day 4, round 1 and round 4, is find as much value as possible while investing as little as possible.
yeah.
Or
That's
when you
good.
do Sunday, there's 6 guys battling it out. Hopefully you have 4 of those 6, or you have 2 of those 6, or 2 of those 3. Does it happen all the time? No. But again, getting the value pre-tournament as well as throughout the tournament allows you to have a potential for hitting one of those monsters.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good thought process on there. Who's your long shot?
So you're probably give me shit for this, but really good course history. He actually spanked me pretty good on the Century when I was betting against him for his matchups, but was hitting a ton of fairways. He was just missing a lot of makeable putts. I think he had the opportunities; they just weren't going in. Patton Kazire, and I mean, you've been doing this long enough. He's a birdie man. Like he
Yeah,
can
he
get
is.
hot and he can go low. And you'll see a lot of consistencies in my picks, right? Who have I picked? Harry Hall, DT, and now we're going with Kazire. They're all over 6'4", big boys, hit the ball a long way. So I expect a lot of wedges. And if the putters get hot, I like him there. And he's, depending on your book, anywhere between 275 to 350 to 1. So big time value for a guy that has good course history and can go low.
Let me tell you about for those who aren't into modeling and why this makes a ton of sense. He's 53rd in my model. And you might say, why would I ever bet on someone 53rd in the model? Now compare his place in my model to where he is on the odds board. That's where the value starts coming in. Grades out real well, 20th strokes gained approach in the last 24. I can even back that up. Sometimes when I get to these tournaments, I can even back it up to like the last 50,
Mhm.
give a bigger sample size. And that's like, that's when I think he gets a boost. Yeah, he does. He gets a boost to 19th, but his biggest boost is opportunities gained, right? If you go 24 rounds, it's not good, like 120th, right? Had a couple bad tournaments,
Yeah.
but you back it up to like more of a long term history. 31st opportunities gained, great ball striker, things that we've talked about that you need. So I could justify the price. I'm not really a Kazire a truther there. I don't bet him too often, but he makes a ton of sense. Let's get to the props, and we're only going to give one each here. But
Yeah.
I thought this was a good one. Lucas Glover, top 20. And I'll just go ahead and say this. Lucas Glover is the kind of guy who can win a tournament or he can miss a cut. So just
Yeah.
go ahead and take that with a grain of salt. And there's 320. There's some 370s floating around. I couldn't get action on it because I had some book that I'm limited on and couldn't get there. But it looks like his game is kind of rounding into form. So if we go back to middle of the year last year, around like Memorial, the
Yeah.
Open, the US Open, Travelers. he wasn't a good putter. Dude was losing like hemorrhaging strokes on the surface. Well, that's what Lucas Glover does the best is putt. Like that's the best aspect of his game. Then you start to see things start turning around at the end of the year. Starts getting better, but this is like uh December, no, excuse me, this is October, right? September, October. The season's winding down.
Yeah.
Takes the off season, starts to play better. In the off season, Black Desert plays well RSM. Sony Open has a couple pop rounds. Listen, he's the putter's getting better and better. 4.9 stroke, 0.7 gainer. He had a bad putting performance at Sony and still gained to the field. I like his price to finish inside the top 20 here, especially a guy who's going to be able to putt well and be better, like be a better putter. Also, he's another guy who
Yeah.
just balls on easy courses. If you look at his wins, easy course, he's an easy course merchant. He's like a JT Poston, right? Like needs these birdie fests, these easy courses.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's funny, no glove Glover. His putting was really great back. He used to use the mallet, and then he just
Yeah.
completely lost all his confidence, got his yips, and then switched to the Adam Scott type putter, and then changed his game completely. And the stats back it up. I think that's a super valuable play, and I think that we also should mention in golf, you're gonna play the outright winners because it's sexy, because it's fun, because you can say I picked a winner. But it's these prop bets are what's going to carry you, to the
Yes.
land, right? It's going to cover your investments. You need a couple of these to hit, whether it's daily matchups, if it's props, if it's full tournament props. It's really important that you have these sniffing out that value, whether it be plus 100 to plus 300. For me, it's a no-brainer. If I look at the Canadians that are playing in this field, right? Pendrith isn't playing. Connors isn't playing. We have Ben Silverman, we have Mackenzie Hughes, we have Adam Svensson, and we have Adam Hadman, and then we have Nick Taylor, who just came off a big win, who again also loves to make birdies. I look to him to finish top 20 because I think he'll ride that momentum playing with house money at this point. But his top 20 line was plus 325, which again is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I looked at his top Canadian or top region, depending on book. For him to beat those four Canadians is plus 300. Sign me up. Ben Silverman, he's kind of a type of guy who just plays in tournaments when the big names aren't there. Adam Svensson is hit or miss. Hadwin is honestly, in my opinion, completely overrated. How the fact that he is
It's
a
because he almost broke 60. Did he break 60 here? No.
the lowest odds, I'm fading him. Give me Taylor to be top Canadian for plus 300.
Nick Taylor on a warpath. I think this is going to be his warpath season after missing out on the President's Cup there. Already pulled down the win. And you know what's great about, I normally fade golfers off a win,
Mhm.
right? But what's great about Nick Taylor's win is he didn't even play well. Right? Like, he didn't play to the best of his ability, which leads me to believe, like, instead of him being like, "Ha, I grinded out this win. I played the best of my life. There's no way I can replicate it." I actually think it's the inverse. I think
Yeah,
it's, "Wow, I can get better." It kind of reminds me of, and this is a stretch. I'm not saying this is going to happen,
yeah,
but it reminds me of when Tony Finau won those couple tournaments in a row, where the first tournament he played, I believe it was the 3M, he wasn't even playing that great. Then he
yeah,
went out and played really well the next 2 tournaments that he won. It's a big difference than if you go out there and you're playing some of your best golf one one tournament, and then
yeah.
you have to turn it back on again. So I like that a lot. Um, for the first round leaders in lottos and two balls, it will be more expansive as the season goes on. But what I wanna do, and if you don't have anything ready, that's totally fine. I'm gonna go through each course. I'm just gonna talk the favorites. I'm gonna, like, tell you the odds, and if you like anybody, let me know, or if you like anybody on that course, let me know. So, we'll go with La Quinta Country Club first. First round leader odds, I'll give you the top 3 guys: Justin Thomas, 12-1, Cantlay, 14, and Burns, 14 as well. Do you like any of the favorites in there? Or are you kind of passing on this market?
So this is a tough one. And the reason that it's a bit of a unique week is, as we know, golf bettors know, you typically have everybody playing the same course on that same day, right? And there's 140 people to pick from. And normally, if you have a Xander in the field or a high favorite in the field, they're probably sitting at about plus 2,500 to be low man on the first day. This week, we have 52 players on 3 different courses. So you can actually have a first round leader 3 times.
Yep.
But when looking at that, think of guys that are middle of the pack, that are typically middle of the pack when there's 139 other players to beat, right? To me, it's I only need to pick one guy to beat the 50 others. We all know first round, hitting somebody first round, it's the luck of the draw. But I've hit Tom Hoagie back to back weeks.
Let's
So
go.
Tom Hoagie's going to be on my list. I don't care what his odds are, just to respect the man. The guy likes to go low. He loves playing out west. So whatever course Hoagie's on, I don't know if you have the odds. We're definitely going on Hoagie again. Um, but no, I don't think there's much value in going on a favorite first round, because at the end of the day, they're not coming out saying I want to be first round leader on the street.
Exactly. They don't care about wire to wire.
No, not at all. So they're looking to go out. They're going to position themselves. Think of it as, just like NASCAR. You're just trying to pick your spot. I like guys that are kind of middle of the pack in these odds, because I think there's a lot of value. Only 50 guys to beat, and then I'm going to have a couple long shots that I like, who will not win, and that is a guarantee, but can absolutely go low one round. You said it earlier. All these guys are good. They can all go low. It's just picking the right horse on the right day.
Well, to your point, Tom Hoagie has to beat out his arch nemesis Harry Hall on Nicholas course. He's 22-1. The reason I pass on first round leader is because I normally don't like to give out a ton of bets, right? Like, and then I find myself picking like 3 guys for each course, and now I have 9 guys, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh
yeah,
my god." But, I know we'll go deeper and we'll have more and more, and anybody who's watching, first, I wanna say thanks for checking out our first episode. Also, drop the comments, anything you wanna hear us cover. Our Twitter is at no show golf. Wait, no BS golf, excuse me, at no BS golf. And I'll have straight put it on the screen for you because I probably even said it wrong. It's brand new. Like, go
yeah,
follow it, do
fresh.
what you got to do, like and subscribe this. It's gonna be a slow burn and churn, but the boys are gonna get you guys the golf information that we think you need to know. A quick plug of my podcast, Gamblers Guild. You can find it on WAP, you can find it on Odd Shopper. Just make sure you go get that information. I cover a bunch of different sports. Go ahead and plug your stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, I primarily on Instagram, Moneymills locks. We throw out some free plays. You can sign up via Dub Club for my full VIP community. My community take pride in live betting, support, member made parlays. People who have never golfed, never bet on golf in their lives. Now it's the number one sport that they bet on. So, we like to support our members. We have a community that feels like a family, and I'm hoping that we can use this platform to not only build that, but to give you guys the opportunity to smack on golf like we try to do every single week.
Heck yeah. And the boys are out. Enjoy the week.